Welcome to Echoes Hill, DT Norway's fan club podcast. DT Norway is the official Dream Theater fan club of Norway. Our podcast is made by fans for the fans. I'm your host, John R. Normally you'll find this podcast through the iTunes store as audio only, but the odd time, like today, when our guest is with us on Skype video, we upload it to YouTube as well for you to enjoy. Today's guest is drummer of Dream Theater Mike Mangini, and here's what Mike had to say about what's going on in Dream Theater land. Enjoy! Good afternoon, Mike. How are you doing?
Very, very well. Good afternoon or good evening for you, right, John? How are you?
Good, thanks. Now, Mike, you're busy in the studio at the moment, making the new Dream Theater album. How's the work progressing at this stage?
Well, I'm finished. I haven't been in the studio for 2 or 3 weeks now. We worked on the bulk of everything together, and then after the meat of it was all done, Jordan spiced up, sugar-coated a few sounds. John went ahead completing and lyrics, and James is singing those. And then he used to do some guitar solos as this recent post that he made. So there isn't that much left. The bulk of it, we do together, and James has literally got to do his singing now. John has put a few solos, and yeah, but I'm not there, especially now.
Cool. What would be the biggest difference, would you say, from recording this album and the previous one, A Dramatic Turn of Events?
The difference is that it followed it. The difference is that it's second. It's a derivative of the time that passed between both records, and most specifically the way that the time passed. Because what is so great about this band is that you got a bunch of people that have things in common. That means that you like to be around each other, and you share in the development of all kinds of things. We're musicians, and we want to get better. We want to get better individually and as a group. We want to get better at everything in all aspects of life. We want to make sure families are all well and happy, because that makes it easier for us to be well and happy. So we're progressing together, getting to know each other better, spending more time together through trials and tribulations and so forth. And it's the way we handle things with each other that makes it so nice. So that's the biggest difference. And of course now that leads to more comfort for me in the studio. I mean, I'm improvising more in different situations, being quiet more than in my past. You get to know people, and when there's a genuine respect, only good fruit's going to come from a good seed. So what I'm trying to say is that time has passed between the records. We spent and have spent a lot of time together, but the key is that people spending time together doesn't mean that everything works out. But when you share common goods, I guess, together, and you have a common path together, it makes dealing with things more pleasant. So
and obviously,
that's the difference.
For this record, you've been part of it from the very start. You're being involved with the drums from the start. And do you take part in any of the writing of any of the other instruments, or would it be suggestions on how to arrange the songs, and mainly your own drum parts that you focus on?
Well, put it this way: the way Dream Theater operated before A Dramatic Turn of Events is the way it's operating now. A Dramatic Turn of Events it's so funny it's called that. It was literally that. It was just change in different ways, But look, we affect each other in different ways. So when we're in a room together, nobody picks up each other's instruments, but there are different ways that you affect each other. There are different languages that go on. It could be someone's face. It could be not saying something. It could be when you play something, that it makes people happy, or it didn't work. There are literal suggestions, or A flat You know, no, what about F sharp? There's stuff like that. Or what about this symbol or that symbol? So there are literal suggestions and there are implications, but basically we affect each other, all of us. So that's how it unfolds.
Do you play any other instruments yourself beside the drums? I mean, have you do you play like guitar as just as a hobby or?
Well, I compose snippets. I mean, I've composed full songs on my own. My life, it's so funny, you know, that my stuff has happened in my life where I have such a strong calling to that instrument, and I see so many possibilities that I share with some dear friends of mine that are the best drummers on the planet that also love to progress and push it. So there's never enough time for this. But, you know, I do possess. There's a keyboard right under here. The keyboard instrument is the one that I communicate most literally on and best on. I have, you know, the iPad during the writing, the jamming and writing of this latest record with Jordan sounds on it because I had sample whiz. Yeah. You know, so when, let's say, most of the time is you know, when John and John Petrucci and Jordan are formulating these melodic landscapes, okay, when they're formulating the bulk of all that, you know, they're so meticulous that I have time. I have a choice to make back there. I have a choice. I can sit, I can look on the internet, I can do my email, I can interfere with them, I can, you know, do whatever, but my choice is to learn what they're doing. So I can communicate, but it's basically they're doing this thing, and the keyboard allows me to communicate in an intelligent way. So I know when they're saying, well, the A flat thing with the diminished Illudium Pew 38 explosive space modulator, you know, whatever chordal thing, landscape's happening, at least I can communicate intelligently, right. Which allows for some suggestions. But basically, I know what's going on, and yes, that keyboard instrument allows me to do that. For me, composing my ideas, well, that's a matter of maybe, you know, I showed up with, I don't know, you know, a handful of snippets where I recorded right. guitar, piano, and bass. But look who I'm in a band with. You know, it's not like I'm not going to play something on a guitar and like, you know, hey, John, check this riff out. And he's going to go, ooh, what a cool guitar. I can barely move my fingers on it, for crying out loud. Anyway, I do love it. I do it. Sometimes there's nothing like, you know, I put this guitar through this pod that I have, and there's nothing like that. And I can barely play the thing, but I want to make it as loud as possible, and it's so much fun. And the keyboard is so cool with all the different sounds you can make. You can make songs out of this based on the sound. So this helps me to relate to those guys. You know, it helps me to respect what they've done on their instruments, and it makes me able to have a bit more of an intelligent discussion, and it allows me to know where to step back to, you know. Right. So yeah, that's my music world of the drums.
Is your studio kit now pretty much the same as the touring kit you used for the last tour?
Yes, and it came from going through the entire Dream Theater catalog in general. No, I didn't learn every song before recording a dramatic turn of events, but I spent time with every single song. I looked at videos. I did that as to make this drum set something that would allow me to play the previous 10 albums that existed before Little Old Me. You know, I'm just on one record. It would have been a huge mistake to just do my thing and not even account for the fact that I'm in a band with people that are used to things a certain way, that this great thing has been established, an immensely great thing established before I even showed up. So going through the catalog, spending time getting familiar with the patterns so I would recognize, that thing's happening again, that they do, you know? That drum thing is showing up again. Therefore, this reflects the current configuration that I used on Dramatic Turn of Events and on this record. Why? Because I made sure before I even stepped foot in a room, like full on, with this band that I prepared myself so I wouldn't have to make too many changes after. Just little snippets, little things are changing. Drum head choices, cymbals. But it's basically the way it was, the way it is, and the way it might stay, seeing how I don't know how I'm going to fit anything else on it anyway.
Right. Jordan said in a recent interview that you're a mathematical genius when it comes to putting together the rhythmic counting and so on in the songs, and that you bring a lot of new ideas to the table, having the experience and the knowledge that you have. Are you ever concerned that things can be too complicated, or are you tempted to make them very complicated and kind of lose the listener along the way, or do you have some sort of filter that kind of helps you stay on track, so to speak?
The filter is me. The filter makes me the musician that I am. Oops, I'm falling off the stool. It makes me the person and the musician that I am. That's the musical filter. That's how I know when to, when not to. But it's not just me. I've always been in situations where there are other people, and outside of a drum clinic and drum solo, I guess. But there are 4 other people in this band, so there are more filters. And then we have, our engineer Rich is there listening, and he's making comments, suggestions, and observations. So there are 5 more filters that are helping me. But with regard to what Jordan said, I have to, the word genius, I mean, it's in jest and funny. It kind of goes with my last name, and I've been called that.
Don't be modest.
I've been called that. But look at. You can't call someone a genius that can't operate a sippy cup. There are things I can't figure out how to do. That one of my kids will say, "Daddy," shh. I was like, "What? What is wrong with me that I don't?" So let's put certain words in check first of all right? But here's what it is that I do that might be unique to a point. I mean, there's got to be so many other people that exist in the world. There's 6 billion people, right, that see maybe things the way I do. I don't know. Maybe each person has its own unique self, and there's nobody like you anywhere. I don't know the extent of that, but here's what it is. I see the whole. I do not account for musical chunks in small chunks, because then I feel like I'm an ostrich with my head buried. I like to see the landscape. I like to see where I'm going, because it helps me plan better. One thing that I have trained myself to do is to be as much of an expert as I can be with pattern recognition. That was the difference in the audition for me personally to feel comfortable, is I knew where they were going because I could pick up the patterns. I knew, and I know this thing Jordan does, where if he does 6 and then 5, I can almost guarantee you a 6 and a 7's coming. Or something like that. You know what I mean? And I can pick up these things. So what it means is that innately, and as a musician, that has nothing to do with what I chose to do when I came to this earth. It was chosen for me. I showed up by no choice of my own, right? And I showed up the way I did, with the genetics that I have. Okay, that stuff's out of my control. My likes and dislikes are based on that and some other things. But I trained myself to have pattern recognition. So putting those 2 things together, with what Jordan said and what I have developed here from very, very hard work and good planning as I could do, that's what gives the result that maybe made him say what he said. But I see the whole thing. Can I make another comment on that? Sure. Maybe a good way that people can join me in really seeing it the way I see it is, I did an app for Drum Guru. Not an app. I did some in-app purchases for them, like lessons for Drum Guru, which is a free app, and like you buy the lessons and stuff for real cheap. People can spend, like, for $5, people can spend an hour with me going through the whole thing in Outcry, because I did a lesson on that, and that's one that really encapsulates most of what I do, because there's a section in Outcry that has a lot of changes in it, but immediately I just stepped away from it and saw it as 49 notes. Now, as a person that loves math, I'm like, ooh, 49 can be divided by 7. And it just so happened that like the next section that followed was in 7. I'm like, wow, maybe I'll play in 7/16 while the rest of the band is doing this. That really shows who and what I do right there. And there's a filter that allows me to know, but that doesn't sound good, or that sounds good. And then the band is there to say, yeah, it's cool, or So there you go. Yeah, maybe when that app comes out, there's literally a way I can step people through how to get on that page with me.
Cool. The creative energy that you're describing between the band members, the need or the urge to write new parts, did that already start during the tour? Did you write any of the parts for the new album whilst you were on tour, or was it mainly done when you entered the studio?
It, meaning what everyone's going to hear, was mainly done when we entered the studio. However, like the comment I made before, where there's a good seed, there's good fruit. What was important about the tour and being together was a bunch of people wanting to get to their instruments to be together. And it could have been in the dressing room. It could have been Jordan doing some kind of warm-up and jam, and James singing something with him, or John and John, or John and Jordan, or Jordan and me, or whatever, to birthed something. The point is that out of all those ideas, the thing that came from it was the camaraderie and the comfort. So whether or not literally any of those got used isn't as important as the process became comfortable and easy and fun. So literally most everything was burnt there, but an important seed was planted before we all got in there.
And with the new live DVD coming out, I guess the audience will also be able to take part in a lot of the stuff that goes on when you're on tour, because there's a big section on kind of behind the scenes and what goes on off stage, as well as the 2 nights that you recorded in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, I mean, actually, there's so much there that I know everybody's waiting. Where's the DVD? I'm a man. Just let me put it this way about where is it, and whatever. First of all, we just gave everything we could, and there's just so much. We stuffed every little corner of it with Easter eggs, prizes, footage, personal stuff, live stuff, angles. Just cool. You see equipment, you see us hanging out. All that's great, But I haven't released, let's say, a personal instructional solo DVD. Why am I saying this now with the question you asked me? Because I thought I could do it on my own. I thought it was just a matter of film it, put it together, get it out there. Whew, boy, was I wrong. There's so much work that goes into this, and each time you add and you put more and more in with good intention, the post idea, oh, this would be a good thing, work is logarithmic. So stuff's just taking a long time because we put so much in there, and we're dealing with companies and people and schedules. It's hard. It's really hard to get it going. What's important is that it's amazing. We put everything that anybody could ever want, I think, in there, and there you go. That's the best way I can describe what's happening with it and what it is.
And it's going to be an amazing year being a Dream Theater fan, with the live DVD coming out and also with the new album coming out, and hopefully a tour to follow. Now you're taking the summer, the Dream Theater is taking the summer off, but I understand you will still keep very busy with clinics and so on.
Oh yeah, we are off from Dream Theater land, with the exception of course, promotions and helping with that end of things. The post record kind of activities that bands should do. But I will be clinicking almost every month, or making some kind of an appearance. I'll be in Italy soon, as most people know. I will be doing the Ultimate Drum Camp in Canada in August. I have some golf-related appearances, which is important because not only is it fun, it's important for us to be happy, It's healthy, it's just great all around, but it also allows me to get into some different social circles, to expand, to be included in athletes. You know, the NFL Hall of Fame is out there in Ohio where I'm going. I'm doing a benefit for the Navy SEALs, and they're involved in something, I think. Anyway, I'll get to meet different people, so cool. I'll be doing that. I expect to clinic in Europe in the fall, maybe Asia. We'll see what kind of time I have. I mean, there are still things unfolding with the band, and I know I have a cushion of a certain amount of time, and I have to work with that as to not interfere, but enhance it. So, yeah, people should just check my Facebook page, that Mike Mangini Media and Info, and keep up that way.
When you do clinics, for most part, the promoters will provide the kits for you, I assume. Is there any part of your equipment that you always have to bring with you, that you can't sort of rely on them to provide? Is there something that you always have to bring personally to the clinics that you use when you play?
Yes, I always have to have 2 devices with the tracks, with a couple of cords, and my drumsticks and inner ear monitors. From there, everything else I can adjust, because look at, just the Dream Theater kit's not gonna show up at most clinics. I mean, once in a while. Yeah. The equipment gets added in, and it's feasible, it's doable, it can be done in a way that cooperates with everybody, doesn't stress anyone out too much. So in general, I am prepared to play on a 4-piece drum set with a double pedal, as long as I have my sticks and my inner ear monitors, I can connect everything. That's what I'll take every single time.
Cool. Do you plan on filming some of the clinics for later releases, or will they be purely like one-night performances, so to speak?
Well, I will probably record them all. As far as releases are concerned, I think with that kind of thing, that it's just, if I do it, I give it away anyway. It's for public consumption kind of a thing. What I would do to release something as an official thing to sell, like, hey, for $7.99, this is a deal, here you go. I would have to include some kind of personal assessment of it, descriptions, things like that. So we'll see what unfolds with that. For now, I'll just usually record a few and pick one solo that maybe reflects my what I'm working on. For example, I posted a couple of things in the last few years. One of them was a drum solo in Italy, and the biggest reason I put it out there was because it reflected some new moves I was working on. Was it the greatest story ever told on drums? No, far from it. Was it this musical drum solo that everyone would say, wow, that's wonderful? No way. Were there mistakes? Yeah! But did I have fun? Yes. Did I share a ton of things? Yes. And that's what's important to me. Most people get that. There are going to be the small number of critics that want to compare anybody to anybody. They want to compare me to XYZ and all these other guys. Oh, cool. Have some fun with it. They want to say that I'm not very good, or some that I am very good, or what. There's all that going on. Yeah. And it's all well and good. It's talk. It's human nature, and great. Have a ball. But my intention is to share my development over time. So I will post things that they reflect some of what I've been working on. They reflect a certain energy level and a level of fun for me, and that's basically what's going to happen.
Do you film yourself when you play in the studio as well, to kind of go back and look at your playing, or is it mainly just audio recordings?
Oh no, I film most everything.
Right.
I film most everything, and that is for me to study and improve, or even for me to figure out what it is that I played. But that stuff builds up, and eventually it ends up on a drive somewhere, and then eventually the drive dies and it's gone. I do the best I can.
Cool. Well, we can't wait to hear the finished result with the new album anyway. And in the meanwhile, we're waiting, excited to see the new DVD as well. Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing your time with us. Good luck with wrapping up the new album, and also with the live DVD. And good luck with the clinics coming up.
Thank you.
Have a great summer, and we hope to see you on the road sometime later this year.
Oh, I hope so too, and I hope I can travel to each little pod area of the earth to get to see everybody and to display the new things I'm working on, and just to say hello, eat some different foods, and keep it fresh, and keep my body healthy by performing in front of people, because it's sure different to play in front of people than it is to play in your own room. Anyway, take care, John.
Cool. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.